I ain't afraid of no ghosts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Yes, sir. Y'all know what it is. Uptown Tone back with another episode of the PPP, JAWN. Press coast to my left, and if you look to my right, that is not OGEs. We got a special invited guest today, man. Councilman Isaiah Thomas is in the building with us, man. Show some love.
Make some noise.
Make some noise.
Glad to be here.
What's good with you, man?
Ready to,
Yeah, you ready to get in pie? I see you, man. I see you focused, man.
I was taking notes before we started. I got a lot I want to talk about, so I'm excited to be here.
Right.
Some of the stuff I don't know.
Right. Listen,
Right,
we don't either, dog, and that's the joy of being on the PPP. But we
Yeah.
going to figure it out.
Yeah, no doubt.
But no, y'all already know how I'm starting, man, from now on. Listen, until we at least get to 50-50, man, subscribe. We need to get off that 75% of the viewership. Y'all sneaking in, y'all sneaking and geeking. Don't sneak, just subscribe. There's no point in sneaking. Y'all welcome. Come fuck with us. You know what I'm saying? But how y'all feeling this week, man? What's the vibe like, man? What's the energy levels like?
I'm feeling great, man. I'm excited to be here. I'm ready to talk about a lot of different stuff. I think for me, the week was the last week of camp. It's the end of August. School about to start. So, I'm personally transitioning, parent transitioning, but professionally as well too. So I think for me, this is the perfect week for me to be here.
Yeah.
I got some special announcements to make.
Let's get it.
So yeah, I'm in the building. I'm in the mix.
How about you, P? How you feeling, man?
I'm chilling, man. Like you said, I was working at the camp with the young boys. It was love. It was a good time. You know what I mean? Young boys getting better. You already know. Your youngin was in the building doing what he could. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah, I was a part of all 3 weeks of camp as a parent. Maybe my first time as solely a parent. Like I made it a point not to be involved because I want to get more into that parenting role. You know what I'm saying? And letting the coaches, the handlers, even his peers around him kind of dictate. I think that's more warranted these days in this game. It's not like 7, 8, 9, 10 no more where you need that hands on. It's a lot of on the job training right now. You know what I mean? As I know y'all two can definitely attest to since y'all been with him. But yeah, man, Isaiah Thomas camp was rolling. I didn't know the last day of camp get like that. Now Zeke was a moon bounce out there. Fat Man was out there grilling. Shout out to Fat Man. It was out there. It was free cuts. It was rolling.
Yeah, we've grown. I mean, we got a lot of support this year. One of my former council colleagues, Councilman Alan Dom, helped us out a lot. We get support from Comcast. Chris Rad partnered with us. Tobias Harris donated big time. A lot of book bags and school supplies. You've seen the Sixers dancers come out. So, shout out to the Sixers across the board for supporting. It was great, man. We did 3 weeks for the first time this year. 3 different parts of the city trying to make sure young people all across the city just get an opportunity to be a part of something positive. And, I can tell you right now that I love doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's my favorite thing, but it's also so frustrating. And I guess I could slide right into number one.
Go ahead. You already know.
It's so frustrating because, we know that we got a lot of crime happening in the city right now. And young people, they're the culprits and the victims.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting younger and younger.
Right.
And it was crazy, Tone, because I was telling you, I remember back in the day, and I didn't even say this to press, but I remember back in the day that when we were young and we used to have high school students who worked with us, when they used to work through PYN, which in Philly is the organization that's responsible for hiring young people, that we would have like a routine where we would know we would have to buy them lunch because we knew that they would go without getting a paycheck and get it on time.
Right.
And that would be 30. I'm 38, so that had to have been at least 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to still have those same problems is crazy. So, Mo, this is one moment number one. We go back to council, believe that I'm going to be introducing a resolution to examine what we're doing with our high school students as it relates to hiring them, as it relates to why they can't get paid on time, and all the other issues that young people have been facing for a long time. Because at the end of the day, while I love the camp, I love giving back. It's crazy that it's not free programs for the kids at the end of the summer. It's crazy that we know that the summertime is the time when the city is going to be lit for a lot of different reasons, both good and bad, and we never seem to take the proper precautions to put us in a position to be able to make sure that we're doing the best that we can for young people, especially right now with all this craziness going on in the city. On top of that, think about the fact that we coming out of, that's Camp Love, so we let that roll. Think about the fact that we coming out of a pandemic, and some things that used to exist don't exist no more, right? Like we got less POWs, less YMCAs, less Salvation Armies. Those things took a hit. So if we all know that, and we know young people, are outside really for the first full time with, not the mass restrictions and all that for a long time, you would think that we would have just did way better. And so that's number one. You know what I mean? That's moment number one on the podcast today. I'm gonna have a couple of them. But when we go back to council, September 15th, I believe the date is, one of the resolutions I'm going to introduce is to look at the employment issues related to teenagers to figure out, what can we do different in the future so that when a young person want a job, they should be able to get a job. We can't live in an era where everybody's saying it's the Great Resignation,
right? But
at the same time, the kids can't. Like, it just, come on. It don't make no sense.
It's definitely not the great paycheck era either. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't like money is floating around and just reaching the hands that it needs to reach. So, I feel that 100%, yo. The gun violence is definitely getting ridiculous in the city. I guess I could segue to one of our hot topics, hot as you want it to be, but a picture surfaced of James Harden with West Philly Torrey, man, WP Torrey. And James Harden is the driver, Torrey is the passenger. And if you would point your eyes to the cup holder, you can see it's a firearm in the wheel, man. And we know here, one of the other things we were talking about when we had our conversation is like, when you driving around, normally it'd be the driver that takes all of the fucking, all of the charges if you are doing something illegal in the car. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, damn, is Philly that bad that our superstars got to walk up? I mean, saying like,
let me say a couple things, right? Because I never seen this photo, so I don't even know if they in Philly, not in Philly, this, that, and third. But what I'll say is this:
it's definitely a white family in the car next to them. I'll say that.
I don't know where they are, but this
it look like Sunoco in the back of the rear window too, man. But go ahead, Zeke.
Look. So we were talking about the crime a little earlier. They got something in Philly called Gun Court. Gun Court is room 503 in CJC. I've been going to Gun Court all summer because I wanted to get a firsthand feel on what's going on with the crime in the city, right? So at the end of the day, you living in the archive times. You living in the old times. Yep. Back in the day when we was young boys, you get pulled over, somebody got to eat that.
Yep.
Right? And most of the time, the driver was going to get hit.
Because you operating the vehicle.
Dude, I was in Gun Court. It's like Law and Order. So it's wild. So I seen a case, right? And I don't want to go too far in depth, but it is public information.
Right.
Right? So I seen a case where there was 3 guys in the car, and the prosecutor couldn't create a narrative that explained how one of the guns belonged to the driver. So the 2 guys who were the passenger in the back seat, they got hit on the charges while the driver got off. And I'm shocked. I'm like, this is a new era,
right?
And I know that there have been some Supreme Court cases that has impacted how police can search people in general when it comes to a gun. So back in the day, that probably would have been a problem, but based on the way the state Supreme Court is going and based on the direction we're moving in, if he got a license to carry,
right. He's good.
He's good, right? That's.
I mean, to your point, Tony, you said in the chat, you know what I'm saying? He got a hookah filter, John, and he got the burner. I mean, around in Philly, I think you do need a burner at the hookah spots.
Yeah.
If you James Harden, you definitely need a burner on you.
Or just bring your own security.
I was going to say, there's no way James Harden is not coming with his own security after some of the things that we've witnessed.
I got him.
We know firsthand how easy it is to move around with your own security.
Happy birthday, MES Marv.
So I got him coming with his own security for sure.
Right.
I definitely.
But his security not in this car.
But keeping it buck though, Pete, though, it's a cultural thing too. Like, people just like to be strapped. People like to have a gun. They like to carry. They want to.
Oh, I know.
People want to feel like they want to protect themselves, and I don't think that's just a Philly thing. I mean, James Harden lived in a lot of places. He was playing in Texas for a long time. I'm pretty sure the culture out there.
Yeah, the AR on him out there.
Swinging from the...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the AR on him out there.
Shoestring on a stupid thing. You know what I'm saying?
So, I'm pretty sure that had an impact.
No issue on the AR.
Yeah.
But a little 444 tidbit. There were also pictures of in shape James Harden in the gym this week. So I don't want to just act like we just, you know what I mean, making fun of James Harden. But I just felt like what the councilman was talking about with the gun control and shit like that. It's just a way to ease our way, you know what I mean? We don't want to get too heavy, but we do have important, pertinent information that the councilman has here for us tonight, man. But
yeah, I'm gonna be dropping bombshells all night. You know, I already dropped one
Right.
about a resolution we're gonna introduce on the 15th. I'm a, you know, throughout the course of the night as we talk, I'll add some other stuff in there. But if you know, we can't talk about James Harden without talking about the fact that we feel like the Sixers are gonna be interesting this year.
They are.
I don't know exactly how folks feel, but I'm excited to see. I'm excited for the season to start, and I'm excited to see what we're gonna be. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Lil
predictions,
Baby gave
nothing
James
crazy.
Harden $250,000.
Yeah.
I seen that.
What's with that, man?
I don't know. They passing quarters back and forth between each other from what Twitter told me. I'm not
Right, that's crazy.
abreast of what
And
goes on with
I
it.
won't get too deep into it, but I'll use this as my personal story from the week. So I was watching a documentary. Trap Lord Ross dropped another Gangland documentary. This one was actually about the No Limit, and I forgot what the other section was, but it's another Chicago one, the famous Chicago one. If you don't know, No Limit is the set that Lil Bibby and G Herbo are from. They're like two of the more popular people that come from Chicago. But fast forward just to get to the point I'm trying to make. There's a video out of one of the gang members that used to run with G Herbo or whatever, and he was basically saying like all that stuff he rapping about not being true, not necessarily as about him being real, but G Herbo have his songs are laced with lyrics of how he's pretty much the top dog, how he's paying for bail, how he's paying for funerals and doing all of this stuff. And the guy was saying that he's not doing that, man. No Limit Cairo was his name. He was saying that he's not doing that. And his point was, only reason why I bring it up with this James Harden shit, because we talked about, you just said Lil Baby gave him $250,000 for his birthday. Cairo's point is, and I kind of agree with him, man, because that gang shit different. I'm not in no gang. I feel like from watching videos, just from growing up in the inner city, we grew up on Menace to Society. We grew up on a lot of different shit. You know what I'm saying? Compton was probably the Chicago of our time, if y'all could agree. I mean, like Chicago was getting, every time you hear about violence, every time you hear about where it's the most violence, it's Chicago these days. When we were growing up, that place was always Compton. Like the gang violence, the Bloods, the Crips, and all of this. Anyway, like I said, fast forward. But he was saying that G Herbo need to take care of the people who was there when in the beginning. And this guy has an interesting point, because what he was saying was, I don't need money. I understand that you got a family, you got stuff to take care of. Hell, you got a life of your own. He like, but to give back to the community, it shouldn't be nothing, especially if you just meeting females and you bragging that you just spent $1 million on a female. If you know what I'm saying, you just met these guys a year or two ago in the music industry and y'all are exchanging wealthy gifts. He like, you could build a restaurant in the hood where we all grew up at and terrorize, and you never know. We might all get a job at the restaurant because you put it there. You know what I'm saying? We might not, but at least you tried. You did your part to give back to the same. You know what I mean? And I kind of agree with him, man. Because being in the gang is different. I feel like if somebody is around there and y'all are pretty much the guardians of each other's lives, it's a bit of a different feeling than just you need to give me money because I was there when you wrote your first rap. I just thought that was an interesting point. It's not nothing that we got to expound on, just something that I wanted to put out there. Just a
I
thought.
did think you brought up a good point, though, when you was talking about, you said something about Compton.
Yeah.
Comparing how Compton used to be to Chicago.
Absolutely.
Today. I agree with that, but I also would add, like, Chicago is not just about the crime, it's about how they create a culture around it. Like they set trends.
Facts.
Now other people, like, they crime so bad, but it's so publicized that now other people replicating it.
Yep, emulated.
They know
Yep.
what they do. Like like we had a situation where folks, shot up a series of cars that was in a funeral. That was something I remember, hearing about that in Chicago years ago.
Right.
One of our boys from Chicago told me about that. I remember hearing about that years ago. So it's not, so I agree with you. Back in the day, Compton was the place where everybody compared crime to, but it was also because Compton was like, it was like a trend setting. You know what I mean? And people would replicate it.
Yeah.
And I think you hit that one on, I think you're right with that. And I think we've seen a lot, especially young people replicating what.
Yeah.
But
like I said, that was just part of my just watching a documentary this week. Go ahead, babe.
If I had James Harden money, I'd give you a $250,000 on your birthday.
Right, but you know me, we brothers though. Like Lil Baby, he just met within the last decade. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't. I'm just saying to the bull No Limit Cairo's point, if you got people that was there and actually was in the trenches and y'all was in life-threatening situations that y'all got each other out of, I would think that a certain amount of loyalty would have to come. I wouldn't know. I'm not
How long do you need to know somebody to feel rich enough to give them
I don't think it's
$250,000 on their birthday?
I don't think it's the length as much as it's the strength. Pause. I tried to be cool, it didn't work. But listen, but that's what Cairo was pretty much saying. It's like, dog, these like we've been in shootouts. We've been in like the people from across that they've been on your head. They've been on my head, and we've had to move in a way for years that if we didn't move this way, either one of our lives would be in danger. And I'm looking out for yours. You're looking out for mine. It's not so much as we just acquaintances or friends that have went to school together or maybe played on the same basketball team. That's kind of like why they be saying that the mob, the gang, it's kind of blood in, blood out, because the consequences and the situations are a little bit more dire than regular shit. You
don't feel like James Harden and Lil Baby been through some shit?
No, not to that extent. Nah.
I'm just asking.
Nah, I don't.
Not $250,000 worth of shit.
I don't know. It depends on what you think $250,000 worth of shit is. Maybe so, but I'm just trying to put No Limit Cairo point out there. I thought it was very peculiar because normally when you hear somebody in that situation, it do come off like a hater. It do come off like somebody who was left behind. And he's saying, I'm not really asking for you to come to the hood and give us each our own $20,000. I'm saying put something here, dog. Like we still here. A restaurant, a fucking this or that, something here, like in the community. And I think that being in the gang or not in the gang, celebrities and people who grew up where we at, we be kind of asking the same thing. Like, do something for the community that did so much for you.
I don't know the logic, but just listening to the summary, it makes sense to me. I mean, I don't know all the players involved. I shouldn't say the logic. I don't know all the players involved. Right. I don't know who all these people are. Of course, I know who Lil Baby is and James Harden, but everything else and everybody else, I don't know. But the logic makes sense, right? Like,
yeah. To me, it did. Like I said, the interview that he got is like 2.5 hours. So it's like he ain't, and he not hating. He don't yell not one time the whole joint. He really a comical kind of bull. Like he not. I mean,
yeah. Well,
black men need healing, man. I think that's the main thing. Black men need healing, and I don't think that we're the only ones that feel this way, man. In fact, there was a black woman therapist that was fired for her feelings on how much healing that black men needed. This young lady, let me get a name on her. I know she was, I just been seeing her in Go Mode, in the Go Mode view. I don't see her name anywhere. But, I'm gonna give P time to bring it up or whatever, but,
Shit you not, I posted a video on Monday telling men that their dusty behavior is only harming them and that they would benefit from emotional intelligence, and I shit you not, by Friday, didn't have employment. All of this started with the Psychology Today article stating that men are lonelier than ever because they have no fucking emotional skills.
You snitching on whoever wrote the article. They didn't say it the way you did. But
that video goes on for 2 minutes.
It all started. Yo.
Right. That video goes on for 2 minutes. And I mean, she just goes in and she's a therapist and she got fired because people reported her. So I mean,
yeah,
tough, man. It's social media. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, she got fired because as a person in her position, she's not supposed to show bias. Like, she can't single out a certain group of people. She's a therapist. She's supposed to be providing healing. She's supposed to be providing outlets to not feel this way that she's expressing. You know what I'm saying? So she was very vehemently just she wanted to come at men. Men was on her mind that day. Like that was her target. And no matter how right she may have been, no matter how valid her points may have been, no matter how relevant the things that she was saying may have been, she has signed an oath. She has signed an oath. She has made a pact with the medical field that she would act in a certain way, that she would not discriminate or single out a certain group of people, and that's exactly what she did.
Shabri Rawls. In August, Shabri Rawls, licensed professional counselor, posted a video on TikTok to her then 148,000 followers.
Right. But the crazy part about it is she's she's coming at black men again after this. Like, it was a previous video of her of what she said to actually get her fired.
It was a video it was an article basically saying that black men are increasingly lonely and single.
Right.
So she just basically tried to say why.
Right. So she got up on Al Gore's internet and then expounded on what she read in that article. Like she said, she did that on a Tuesday, and by Friday she was unemployed. And she's blaming black men,
and black men are 90% of her clientele.
Right.
She said.
Black men are 90% of her clientele. But what I also contend is that that's not something that black men do. I don't think black men don't want to talk to their employer. Black men not about to go find yours.
Yeah, no, but I mean, this Business Insider is the source that we're reading from here for all you source people. Her termination over the social media posts isn't unique.
It's not.
So listen, man. This is normal. You go crazy on social media, you're going to lose your job.
Yeah, or before you go crazy on social media, why don't you refer to your employee handbook? Like, that's a good idea. See what you can and can't do. If you sign hypocritical oaths or things of that nature, if you're in a high, I don't want to say profile, but this is a highly sensitive workplace. I deal with work orders and maintenance all day. I don't think anybody cares about who I feel about anybody's feelings as long as the lights come on. But you, as a therapist, you know what I mean, who's supposed to be soft, who's supposed to be understanding, who's supposed to be welcoming with people's problems and then offering solution for them, this ain't it. Like, you got to know this ain't it. Like, when you hit submit and then when you hit play to read this back, you couldn't have thought to yourself like, yeah, that's it. This going to do it.
She's definitely going to make more money.
Yeah, this going to do it. For sure.
She's definitely going to be making more money.
For one, she got 148 TikTok followers, so she has some kind of fucking social media presence outside.
I feel like that was before that video.
I don't think it dipped under a beam.
No, that's what I'm saying. That joint went up.
Oh, like, right. So yeah. And not only that, but I mean, she did this in the Great Migration, man. So, you know, what we do know is that these jobs are open. It's job openings, but we just want to wish this lady good luck. You know what I'm saying? And hope that she lands good. And most importantly, hope that she learned a lesson. Stop singling people out, man.
I think she's fine. It's one of those gifts in disguise, or whatever the saying is.
A blessing in disguise.
There it is.
What's the blessing?
She gonna get a new job with more money, and she gonna probably be famous.
Or should that?
And more people actually, respects to her. More people care about what she got to say now.
She might have to start a private practice. I don't know, man.
I mean, that's cool too. But I believe she'll have work that will pay her way more than what she was making.
That's true.
I believe it. I do believe in 2022, moments like this only turn into more money.
But I think her issue was men got issues, so I don't even think the money's gonna solve that. Like, like she said, 90% of her clientele is men, and she's about to switch over to women. It seems like her expertise is with men.
Listen, man.
And men might not trust her no more. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, somebody else in Walmart had an issue with a black man, and his issue turned into a $4.4 million solution.
Yeah, this boy.
So that was a blessing. See what I'm saying? Blessings all over the place, man. Yeah. Blessings all over the place.
They racially profiled him. He said, "I'm in here to buy $2 light bulbs." Michael Magnum, while shopping, they ordered him to leave and called the police when he refused. So he went through this whole ordeal and he sued them. He sued them and he won. And like Brother P said, to the tune of $4.4 million, y'all know we applaud anybody who gets something to that effect.
Yeah, make some noise, man. That's better than the PPP.
You got to, man. That's the me fi me right there.
I seen somebody in the comments say, yeah, man, shout out to racial profiling, man. I'm waiting on my moment. And I kind of agree. I just don't want to, lose my life in my moment. But I would definitely looking for that, damn, it's because I'm black, y'all got me hemmed up like this?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know somebody who went to town for his JAWN, and
right.
You know what I mean? I believe he walked away a winner.
And this is in Portland, Oregon, no less, man. This is always, and it's happened in 2020 during the pandemic. Damn. So
Wings man was trying to buy some light bulbs because it was a pandemic outside.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around this, dog. Like, so I'm just trying to figure out how he got singled. How do we single out Michael Magnum? If I'm thinking correct, the whole 2020 we had to have masks on. You know what I'm saying? We had to be 6 feet apart. What was this guy doing in particular that made y'all go to him. Joe Williams don't even have a mask on. Look at him. Or a badge or nothing.
He just followed him around the store.
He got harassed by a stockroom nigga, dog. Like, this bull came out the stockroom and he just felt so inclined.
Yo, look at this nigga with his lawyer, dog. Yeah, this is it. This is the pick right here. Look at this man right with his lawyer, dog. This better than the PPP.
Look at it, dog.
I'm happy for this brother,
I
dog.
am. That's why it's on the docket. I know I'm happy for him.
Five, you see this nigga, dog? Look how happy this brother is, dog.
Look at him, ear to ear, dog.
Ear to ear, 4.4 million.
With Christopher Lloyd up there, dog.
Christopher Lloyd made the easiest 440,000 in his life.
He could get a new hairpiece now, cause that joint is
Christopher Lloyd
sick.
ain't never make an easier 440,000 in his fucking career.
He definitely looked like Doc from fucking Back to the Future, dog. That was my man lawyer. But definitely shout out to Michael Magna, man. Another round of applause for you, brother. Invest, man. Invest in the PPP, John. You know what I'm saying? We out here giving you your flowers. Like
Speaking
subscribe.
of invest, so I was talking to you about this, John. Bed Bath and Beyond. They had did some stuff on the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we might have talked about it real quick last week or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you tell us what's good, man. They did.
I don't know.
They did a little pump and dump.
Yeah, man.
We called that, John. We said this is a little pump and dump, a little stock pump and dump. You know,
Right.
Where they, all of the investors say this is what it is, and the John go up. It was like $4 in June, and then like $10 in July, and then $10, $11 on August like 3rd, and then like August 17th, that John was like
Right.
$40.
So for those of y'all who don't know the relevance of this, and I feel a little bit more, I always felt comfortable about talking about it, but I really am now because I got T-minus 2 weeks before I'm off this team. But like P just told y'all, man, P's into the stocks. I'm not in the stocks. So P has a little bit of an investment in the Bed Bath & Beyond, and he's been telling me how it's been fluctuating. Now, I work for a maintenance company who takes care of the maintenance for all the Bed Bath & Beyonds that exist. So that's been my fucking life for the last 3 years. And work since the pandemic has been a little hectic, to say the least. Just we dealing with the same thing that everybody else is dealing with. Staff shortages, work influx, pretty much overworked, underpaid, that type of thing.
They said billionaire Ryan Cohen.
Yeah.
He made 68 mil off that
Right.
little pump and dump.
Right. So shit been kind of crazy at work as far as Bed Bath & Beyond. That's the account that I'm on, only for another 2 weeks though. And everything that negative that happens with Bed Bath & Beyond, I fucking find out like y'all find out. Like when I opened up the New York Post fucking article, which is the sponsor for this article. You know what I mean? For those of y'all following along at home. That is who we're citing from. But so there's a lot of shit going on at work, long story short, a couple weeks ago, they owed us some money. Work was kind of backed up. Our techs wasn't getting paid. It's just a whole clusterfuck at work to where we can't get our job done. And then I go with myself and I see this New York Post ad, this New York Post article, and it's saying that 24 hours ago, the damn Bed Bath & Beyond hired a bankruptcy lawyer. And it's like, it almost feels like that's exactly what's been happening at work, because a lot of people have been complaining about getting paid, about not getting this, not being done, not being enough money for this. Our quotes haven't been getting. And I come up here and I look on here and it says that Bed Bath & Beyond just hired a bankruptcy lawyer. But when I ask my people at work, they acting like everything is all good. You feel what I'm saying? And this is why people are at work silent quitting, man. This is why people are overworked and underpaid. This is why there is a great migration of unemployment. This is why all of that shit is happening, is because these big businesses on their end, they're making money. What did you say, P? 68.1. He just got something.
Billionaire investor he made 68.1 million off of the little situation last week.
Right.
And I mean, I'm just imagining that shit being like the show Billions. I don't know if anybody ever watched that. That joint was a good show, funny ass show. But yeah,
it's a lot of Axels out here, man.
Yeah, Axel Foley, whatever his name is.
Axel Foley is
Mankind.
No, that's Nick Foley. Axel Foley is Eddie Murphy and fucking
Axel
Beverly
Foley and
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Axel something. I forgot what his last name is. But yeah. But yeah, man, that was just me. That was just my rant. That's what's going on in Bed Bath & Beyond news. If you got stock out in them motherfuckers, pull it. Sell now. Sell now. If anything that I go through every day at work could tell me anything, it is pull that shit now and move on. Cut your losses now while you can. But that's the Bed Bath & Beyond report. That's my rant at work. Like I said, I told you on last episode I got a promotion, so it's all good now. I ain't got to worry about them no more, man. We Team Dollar General now. So hopefully they gon'. I mean, they in better standing than Bed Bath & Beyond is.
Well, you know who not in good standing. Well, actually, this shit was random. Zeke, you can let us know about this too, man. They said that it was a box of guns mistakenly delivered to Chester High School. I mean, obviously, you know, you in the world of scholastics and shit like that. Like,
my question is, and it's not for you, Zeke. We could have a conversation about it. But
oh yeah, it's not for you.
Yeah,
but just your world, man.
No, I'm talking about what I'm about to say specifically. It's not specifically for you, but it's kind of like what I want to talk about. What are the ways that this can be an accident?
So basically, FedEx mistakenly delivered a box of guns to Chester High School. Parents want to know, how could this happen? Well, the packages arrived. Staff members thought they could have been textbooks because the first day of school is next week, but then they realized it was guns. That's when officers had to get involved. It was bizarre because it was at the loading dock of Chester High School. FedEx just dropped it off, each in its own separate box. They were .30 caliber M1 rifles manufactured by the Springfield Armory.
30 caliber M1. That's military weapons. That's not even a regular run. That's not even a regular run-of-the-mill handgun or nothing like that.
They wasn't suspicious, so they stored them in the school all weekend. You see that? All weekend. Just waiting for someone. That was somebody's fuck up. Somebody's supposed to come grab the jewels on the weekend.
Yo, whoever this reporter interviewed, and that person don't believe that was, they believe that box was opened up immediately and then stored all weekend. That's the only reason why that was put there. It was stored all weekend. That's a little bit of a slight.
I mean, the question is whose mistake is it, right? Because the driver apologized and was very professional and all that, but like, did the driver drop it off at the wrong place? Right?
That's
like,
what they're not saying.
Clearly it's a mistake, but whose mistake?
Right.
Like, is it the driver themselves that dropped it off at the wrong place? Did somebody actually
There was a typo in the address. The guns were supposed to go to an auto mechanic shop on West 9th in Chester Township, not the high school, which is on West 9th in the city of Chester.
Because we feel way more comfortable about 6 military weapons going to the auto mechanic than we do to school.
Yeah, because he needs them to do his job.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
you can't fix cars
without an M1.
Yeah,
you need an M1 to fix cars.
And then the other side is when the driver pulled up to the school and looked and seen that it was such and such school, did he think that these were for the security guards or the school
The driver thought they was guns.
Right.
Okay.
I can see the driver just being like, yeah.
I'm just dropping this off.
Yeah. They're kind of heavy, but
Yeah, so you guys have found a way to make this nobody's fault.
Why is the driver apologizing though?
I would. If I mean, I don't drive FedEx.
Agreed.
I don't know about how that works, but if I have plausible deniability to be able to say that I did not know what this was in this box, I would just say sorry.
Right.
Because if I don't say sorry, people gonna think I'm a part of the conspiracy because that was the first person I was ready to question.
So I guess
this is the first time I'm hearing about
Right.
this, John. So I'm like,
let me rephrase the question. Why is the driver the only motherfucker
well,
apologizing?
then that's a better question.
I guess that's what I
mean, the apologies need to come from FedEx, no. The apologies got to come from the gun manufacturer, Springfield Armory.
Oh, it ain't. Listen,
because Springfield Armory. So let's just think about it.
I'm thinking.
If I order something, right, to, I don't know. Let's just say I order something to here, and I live, in Showingham Township,
right?
But I get my zip code wrong, and it's the same exact address in Jersey. Like my house is actually a good example. Like you can slide to Jersey if you get the zip code wrong. Like if I just send you my Addy, it could easily send you to Jersey.
I mean, I agree. The gun manufacturer. I mean, because it's not like they're delivering soup. So I think that they should be somewhat responsible if the address is a school address. Like somebody should have done some type of research to see who
They don't do
guns.
research, though.
Well, there you go. That's part of the problem.
I'm saying and labeling.
That's like, I mean,
I agree with you.
we got a huge election in November where we're going to be like this issue is on the ballot.
That's a part of gun safety.
gun
The easy,
yeah, that's crazy.
Easy access.
the easy access to the gun just there.
That's crazy. It's crazy because
Like-
at the end of the day, what if it's not a school? What if it's someone's house that gets delivered to?
And they hold on to them things.
and they just keep them.
What if it's a fucking auto mechanic?
I mean, no way we'll go to an auto mechanic.
I mean, well, that's who orders the
what I'm
shit.
saying. That
The
don't
fuck,
make no
dog? Like
sense.
that's they probably whoever it was supposed to go to. They probably somewhere now. Like,
Detectives determined that the purchaser had no criminal intent, did have a permit, and it was all an honest mistake. He's an avid gun collector. I'm just grateful we had a positive result that they were able to get the firearms from the high school back here instead of somewhere else where they could be in the street in the city of Chester.
So that's why it's news, because everything worked out. I'm sure if these guns end up in the street somewhere, this is probably not news. It's
Right.
an unfortunate situation that we'll be reading about 3 years from now where we find
So
out.
FedEx said it's on them.
but even still, man, if you ever wanted to wonder why you keep seeing Philadelphia or Pennsylvania pop up in your news feed for gun violence, an auto mechanic ordered 6 military style weapons and they got accidentally fucking sent to a school and they held them all weekend. They came, wrote an article about it. All is good.
Well, you know who did get,
And all
you know
is
who
good.
guns did come in the mail?
Yeah, this was crazy.
The white lady up at King of Prussia Mall.
Yeah, this is crazy, yo. So this white lady pulled out, and I don't even know why, yo. I think the details are still shoddy on this, but what we do know is that this white lady pulled out a gun on a black lady and 5 guys in King of Prussia. The police came, took the weapon, cuffed her, and they confiscated the gun and they cuffed her.
But she beat that jump.
Of course she did. She's probably a gun owner, and somehow, some way, she like again. And if you were in
I'm
a
telling you though, yo, you people would be surprised to know the laws right now in Pennsylvania based on recent state Supreme Court rulings around how you can carry a gun, what you can do, how you can pull it out. I don't know the details. Like I haven't heard this story. This is the first time I'm hearing this particular story. You know, Philly is enough news. It's hard to keep up with King of Prussia, even though it's right outside the city.
Right.
But the laws is crazy right now.
Right.
It's crazy. I don't have everything in front of me, but one of the things that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to have a report that's going to come out around the crime in the city. And one of the things that we consider in some of the recommendations that we have, and this will be out real soon, that's my next announcement, we got to consider the new state Supreme Court rulings. Mm-hmm. These things have happened right before the pandemic and during the pandemic, basically my whole term in council. Mm-hmm. And it creates a situation where the way people can carry, what people can do, and what police can and can't do, what the average constituent can and can't do, is kind of crazy. So I don't know this story, but it doesn't surprise me that if nobody was hurt, that she beat the case.
Yo, if y'all can believe it, in 2020, while going to Five Guys with Kay, I actually seen the black John with a gun in her hand walking out arguing with somebody. I want to know what is in Five Guys burgers, fries, or them fucking peanuts that people feel so fucking comfortable pulling their firearm out there and brandishing it towards another person.
It's better than Shake Shack.
Listen, man, it's more dangerous than like I think Five Guys is one thing that we can all agree on is way more dangerous than Shake Shack.
Yeah, man.
Five Guys is a dangerous
listen,
fucking
ain't
place.
nobody ready to pull their burner off for a Shake
Five
Shack
Guys,
burger.
you don't need 5 guys to make a burger. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's the issue from the jump, dog. It's too many cooks in the fucking kitchen, dog. Like tempers are rising at Five Guys. But no, this is fucking crazy, man. Like I know we got the councilman here, and I wanted to put some gun control shit. I wanted to put some shit in there to start the conversation about that. But like, this is what we're dealing with, because a lot of times when you even look on the news and you see these stories or whatever, you know, a lot of it, like we were talking about on Friday, we were talking, or on Saturday we were talking, Z, and you were just saying that it's situations in the neighborhoods. It could be situations from here or there. Like these seem like two regular pedestrian people who tempers flare and you have to worry about a gun being drawn in those situations.
The dispute was over who was or wasn't in line at the restaurant.
Sound like a fucking.
She said she was threatened by 3 women, and there was video that said, "You feel threatened to brandish your weapon?" And she said she did.
It's sad. I mean, as I was reading the story, you started talking about other things that happened. I think about the kids who worked at that Popeyes right there on Lehigh Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
One day they leaving work, somebody shoot up the whole car, kill a couple of the kids. This is right like around 11 o'clock once they getting off work right there in the parking lot.
I remember that.
Yeah. We had a couple other situations happen with workers, 7-Eleven. We had one of them situations. Just something about the culture across society right now. I think part of it is coming out of that pandemic, right? Like, but another part of it is just the access to guns. Like, that's a real thing. And it's not just, the legally purchased guns. We got to consider the dynamic of ghost guns.
Yes.
Just think, when we was young boys, right? You would, think about getting a gun. And one of the things that, if you're not legally able to carry a gun, one of the things that scared anybody who ever thought about getting a gun, especially if you was underage, was if that gun had bodies on it already.
Facts.
So if you get a gun, that gun got bodies on it, now you put your fingerprints on that gun, now you got a problem.
Yep.
Well, ghost guns eliminates that, right? Because now those guns are untraceable. So at the end of the day, if the gun got a body on it, that being able to find that out is a lot harder.
So what's
right?
a ghost gun? And break down what's a ghost gun exactly.
So a ghost gun is a gun that you can manufacture based on order and supply. I ain't encouraging nobody to do it.
Right.
But it's a gun you can manufacture based on supplies that you can order and get. And the key is that they don't have a serial number.
Right.
So when you go to purchase a regular gun, like that gun is now tied to you, right? Like it's your gun. It's registered to you. Everything about that gun is yours. So if anything happened with that gun, even if it's not in your possession when it happened, it gets traced back to you.
Not only that, but with a gun that you buy that's registered, the serial number on it, when you fire the gun, it make a mark on the shell. So when they pick up the shells, they can match not only the serial number but the mark on the shell.
Right.
To the, you know what I'm saying? Because
I know.
Because motherfuckers have manufactured guns, but they scratch the serial number off of it. These fucking ghost guns never have fucking serial numbers to begin with. They pretty much, you order like probably dark web shit. You order the materials yourself and put it together.
And it's a hustle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if you could order a ghost gun and put it together, you can now sell guns to anybody at your own price and it not essentially be traceable. And I think that like just how many guns is just free flow.
Right. I was gonna say, you think
easy you can get them.
Do you think that's part of the problem? Like I be seeing a lot of people boom boom shootings and people just leaving the guns, like they recovering the guns. Like people are leaving guns at these scenes of the crime.
I think it's part of the problem for sure. You know what I mean? I think that's why you see my shirt. That's why I push the whole voting thing. We got a big election. State law is going to be important when it comes to a woman's right to choose and ghost guns and things like that. Like a lot of things are going to come down to your state, and we vote for governor in November. So always, every platform I've gotten to be able to take a couple minutes to talk to people throughout the course of the summer, I'm always pushing people to vote. You know what I mean? In some spaces is bipartisan space, so you can't say who to vote for. I'm sure on here I could tell people all day, vote for Josh Shapiro. That's what I'm pushing. That's what we think people should do because, even on issues that you disagree with them, it's those things that's just like a non-negotiable. You know what I mean? Like I don't. Y'all know my brother. My brother is a gun collector, so I'm not. It ain't no issues with people who like to collect guns. That's not it. That's not what we experiencing.
Not at all.
Gun collectors has always been a thing. Like people always did that. It's this whole different dynamic that we facing right now with untraceable guns and people carrying them who shouldn't be carrying them. On top of the fact that, again, like this whole pandemic thing coming out of it, people different in the head.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? But on a certain level, what the sister was saying, I know I ain't get into that part. I stepped away for a second. But what the sister was saying as far as, like, just people having mental health issues, like, that's real. I don't know if that's just limited to black men. I think when you talk about trauma and what we've seen, shoot, we all need to talk to somebody a little bit. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But, I mean, another announcement, we're going to make sure that, we give you guys access to our recommendations that we're going to make in the next couple of weeks around the crime in the city because based on my experience in gun court, based on some of the other hats that I wear outside of city council as well as some of the briefings that I'm a part of in city council, I'll put together a package of things that I think we can do different in the city of Philadelphia to address some of the crime that we see. Honestly, some of it is controversial, and that's cool. But, I mean, my recommendations are things that I know for a fact are impacting the city. I'll give y'all one right now on the podcast. We think that we need to spend more money on witness and victim protection, right? Like a big part of the problem in the city of Philadelphia right now is that a lot of our cases get thrown out once an arrest actually happens, once charges have been filed, witnesses not showing up, victims not showing up. In Philadelphia, we're more likely to clear the case if the person dies than if the person survives, which tells you what? People who do survive don't want to cooperate.
Right.
So we got to do something different to put us in a position to at least put a little dent in it, right? Because at the end of the day, we've been in the city our whole life. You know, Philly always had a homicide problem. Until we fix poverty in schools, we're going to have a homicide problem.
Right.
Like, no question about it. But it don't have to be this bad. There are flaws in the system. I told you I go to gun court. You know, there's been times where I've gone to gun court and I've watched with my own eyes, you know, police be called to testify, but the cop on vacation. What in a clerical mistake is that? You know what I mean? Like, what secretary or who's responsible for that? We can't have stuff like that in the middle of a crime crisis, right?
It's
like,
a crisis.
This
man.
is a crisis that
Definitely
we
crazy.
face. We can't. It's just a lot of mistakes that you see. That's like a miscommunication. That's cool if we on a fast break and we playing basketball,
Right.
But we can't have miscommunications in the courts.
And lives is in the balance.
Lives is in a balance. So like it's things like that I've been able to see firsthand for myself. You can't get that in a report or a briefing. No one's going to tell you that. You got to go see it for yourself. And that's why I said I'm excited for the report that we're going to put out around the crime in the city and some of the recommendations that we have. And I definitely want to share it with y'all, you know, bringing on the PPP, JAWN. Y'all talk about it without me. You know what I mean? Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what the listener audience think, because at the end of the day, this is an issue that everybody is being impacted by. You know, if you're from Philly and you don't live here no more, or your family just still here, you know what I mean? It matters. And we got to get it right, and we got to be able to do something different. So that's my next announcement. I got two more before I slide.
No doubt. Yeah, man. And since we got the councilman here, that's definitely something. We'll have a ticker. We'll have an update. We'll have a gun control update. You funnel us information, whatever you need to get out to the masses, we'll get out to it. The councilman did lie. You can find that information on PPP, John, as long as he's here, man. He's going to be giving it to us here. So, you know what I mean? Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tap in, and you know what to do. Subscribe. But, yeah, man, I think that's all the hot topics we had for this week. Unless y'all got anything that was a little bit hotter, we could move into the Chronicles. Because this is something that I just saw a couple of days ago that I do want to get into, especially since we got the councilman here, because I know education is another front that he's very, very heavily involved in. So, yeah, we can get right into that. The D.C. mayor says unvaccinated children will not be given the option to homeschool, and this comes after they're already not allowed in the school because they unvaccinated. So it's basically, from what I gather from this, is that they're saying that there's no school for unvaccinated kids.
They are choosing to treat the vaccine for COVID like you treat other shots that you're required
measles,
to take.
mumps,
Yep.
rubella, all of
They're
that cool.
choosing to do it that way. That's a tough one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, because my thing is this, right? Like, I'm not saying that concept is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but for me right now, like, I think that we got to grab as many children as we can to make sure that they're on the right track. And DC probably don't have a crime problem that we have in Philly right now. I'm not sure. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I'm not sure. But I for me right now, it's tough to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
That's
for me
that's
right
very
now.
tough.
That's a tough
That's
one.
a very tough one.
I'm a vaccinator, right? Like, I think people should be vaccinated. I understand the concept of treating the vaccine like you do other shots that's required for school. But I also know a lot of the misinformation that was sent out there. I know a lot of people don't like to feel forced into stuff as well.
Facts.
Too. So it's a fine line that you're dealing with. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure that that's the direction that I think people should go in. I don't know what their education awareness campaign has consisted of
Right.
in DC. It's a lot of questions that I would have before I would suggest that we make that decision in Philadelphia, because I feel like we've done a lot as it relates to vaccination education and making it accessible to people. But I also know that the counter side of that has been very strong as well too. And you have a lot of people who still believe information about vaccines that's not true, especially kids.
Facts.
Especially young people.
So that's what I was just about to say. This comes on the heels of, after last episode, I know y'all seen it, we reported that the CDC and a lot of these other agencies are coming clean, saying that they didn't handle the COVID crisis the right way. They didn't do the right education before being premature and the putting out processes and things that we should be doing. The CDC has deemed vaccinated and unvaccinated as the same thing at this point. So when you see these things coming on from on high from the people who we've been taking cues from this whole pandemic, this whole process, and then you see a certain section, because like I said, this is in DC. This is not something that's nationwide. It's not even something that's statewide for them. You know what I mean? DC is already its own entity as itself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think, and you will probably know more than better than I do. I know in a lot of pop culture and a lot of different and other different cultures, tech culture, we take our cues from like California and New York. But I would have to believe in the political world that cue comes from DC.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean,
You know what I mean?
for us in Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
Harrisburg as well too.
Got you. Yeah. So it's like this stuff happening like weeks, days within each other, I think adds to the confusion that we as citizens have.
It's inconsistent in
Yes.
the message, and I think that I again, the concept, I get it. You know, maybe their crime is different.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the issues that they're facing is different. I don't know, because I'm not entrenched in DC culture. You know, DC has been gentrified a lot, so I don't even know the dynamics down there like I used to. But I can't see us deciding to tell young people right now, today, with all the issues that we're facing, learning gaps, achievement gaps, failing institutions, issues around poverty and hunger. Some of our kids come to schools for the meals. You know, I would rather see a mass mandate, right? Like, and I'm not saying that I want that, but I would rather see a mass mandate than an exemption for students who are not vaccinated. Because another thing to consider is that if I'm, say, 12 and below, that's probably not my decision. So now as a child, I'm getting punished for something that an adult chose to do.
And that was about to be my next question, is that after, like, this is what it is. So what about those kids? What about these unvaccinated kids? Like you said, 12 and under, even 13, 14, hell, even in high school, man. A lot of these kids are dependent upon their parents for things, and they do not make their own decisions. Especially when it comes to things like this. Now, maybe, like, you know what I mean? Things like they going out there, the stupid decisions that we see happening, of course, they're making those. But these systematic, you know, these decisions, like you said, they don't make them themselves. So what is to be made of this? Because a lot of the parents, it's a lot of parents who do know what's going on, who will stick to their guns, and I'm not getting this kid vaccinated. Like, where will this leave the actual student? Like,
I agree. I mean, it's a tough situation. That's a tough situation. What if I'm a senior in high school?
right.
And I want to graduate, and my parents say, if you get vaccinated, you got to get out my house.
Right. So, and that's what I was thinking when you even said that they're going to treat COVID like they treat the other diseases, because the other diseases are already etched in stone, and those shots have to happen before you even touch a school, period.
Right.
So how can you just slide one in? Like, it's so many different, like you said, so many different levels of kids. It's a 12th grader. It's a 6th grader. It's people who have already been in school already.
I'm just never a fan of punishing children for adult decisions. That's why I said in the beginning, like, the concept, I'm not mad at it, because I'm a vaccinator. I want people to be vaccinated. That's my position. That's my push. That's what I want. Yeah. But I don't want kids to suffer.
Yeah, the concept is definitely understandable, but the execution, I cannot get with. I cannot get with the execution.
You can at least say next year, and you're going to say that we're going to have a year of education and awareness, right? Like, if you're that passionate about it, or you could give, like, I just think that it should be more provided, and maybe there is, and I just don't know about it. But just reading it on the surface level, and this is why I love the PPP joint, because I don't really get like much of an agenda. I gotta just be ready to talk about everything. Yeah. But that's the dope thing, and that's why I want to come on podcasts like this and be able to bring my perspective, but also, you know, be able to bring some accurate information,
right?
And experiences that the average everyday person don't see. Like when I'm talking to y'all about around gun court and schools and education.
You in the trenches in front, you front row looking at that
people
stuff.
Don't get to see some of that stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
right.
That's again, as a person who is pro-vaccination and in favor of kids being vaccinated before school, that's a tough position to take, especially if they just made the announcement. Like if this wasn't something, like this article says August 25th, right? So again, they might have made that now the decision a long time ago. I'm not sure,
right?
But you know, that's a tough one.
Right.
Tough one.
All right, so before we get into eating with ease and fo and some of the other fun segments that we love here, I want to give you the floor to open up some conversations for us, and then also to get off with announcements and just things, general information, because it's not often that we have a council member here. Like you just said, it's not often that we have somebody who's so entrenched, so tied in to the actual day-to-day workings of the decision making that happens, that basically shapes our lives. So anything that you want to get into at this point, man, let's get into it.
All right, let me give y'all a couple things. Number one, I'm running for re-election next year. A lot of people are talking about what am I going to run for, what am I going to do, what seat am I looking at, and let me tell y'all right now, I'm not running for mayor. I'm not, none of that is going to happen. I'm running for city council at large. I'm looking for a second term. That's my focus. That's my goal. That's what I'm working towards, and I'm hoping that the people of Philadelphia give me a second term. A lot of my colleagues are resigning to run for mayor, so you'll have some vacancies on city council. I'm hoping to put myself in a position to be reelected and help lead this new mayor, this new governor, and this next wave of stuff. So that's what it is for me. Legislatively, I think I've been strong. My first term, I've passed some good bills. Most people know about my driving equality bill that deals with driving while black. I know that's very controversial, but it's actually not. It's really not.
The fact that that's controversial is kind of sick shit. But
and the craziest thing is, like, the main people who be mad at the bill don't get pulled over anyway.
Right.
Like, you don't even live this life at all. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, if you did live this life, would you want to be pulled over for one broken taillight?
No.
When your taillight is broke, most of us don't know.
Because it's the tail light.
I mean, that's what they say. But, I guess maybe it's something different. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm proud of my legislation. I'm proud of the things that I fought for and won. Illuminate the Arts, grants, positions, all that stuff. The Black Workers Matter package, local procurement stuff. But I got a dope bill coming up that I'm going to be introducing this fall. Let me give y'all the concept.
Let's get it.
So,
okay,
what we're going to do is we're going to introduce a bill that activates citizens to report nuisance behavior. Let me give you an example.
Like a snitching app.
Well, I don't want to call that. Right? Because this, let me give you an example. So, the city,
I'm here for the snitching app. Let's get it.
The city is filthy, right?
Right.
Filthy. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, you catch somebody illegal dumping, right? If you report that person and it leads to a fine, because we've just increased the fines, the person who reported them should get a percentage of that. Right? So
snitching percentage.
And
snitching for dollars.
I hear that, but you a homeowner, right? Homeowners, right? So the majority of illegal dumping takes place in neighborhoods.
Right, facts.
They're not taking place in like vacant spaces like they used to be, because the development we're seeing nowhere in neighborhoods. And the crazy thing is, before we just increased the fine for illegal dumping, it was actually cheaper to dump illegally and get caught and pay the fine than to dump legally. So from a financial perspective, the city has been encouraging people to dump illegally, because it's like, well, if I get caught, it's cheaper than dumping legally, depending on how much stuff you're dumping. You see what I'm saying? So that's like part of the conflicting messages, and that's partly why we raised the fine amount for illegal dumping. But the problem is this, right? So now that we raised the fine amount, how do you catch people? It's a culture.
Name the app Karen.
Nah.
Like you care. Like we
Name
care.
the app Karen.
But
Like we care.
Like you care.
Like you care.
It's a
Like,
no E. Care apostrophe N. Because
Like
I'm
you-
caring about
It's a-
you.
right.
It's
like
a
you
watch.
care.
It's a watchdog app, right? So at the end of the day, we're not talking about $75, right? Like, we trying to give people a couple hundred. And at the end of the day, if you could catch a couple
I
people
care.
for a couple hundred, that's a hustle.
All right, so here's my thing, man.
That's
and
a hustle.
And
But-
this is with me
but
in the city of Philadelphia.
Illegal dumping was just one example.
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
come up with a plan that don't involve money for either side. Like that shit be making me mad. Like this cleaning shit y'all got.
No. We don't do bad with cleaning. You got a culture of illegal dumping. It's different because
Y'all do bad with fine. Like everything don't need a fine. Like
illegal dumping need a fine.
That gotta
illegal
that's
dumping
fine,
need a fine.
but
it has to.
Don't come on my block and tell me you gonna clean my block. But if I move my car,
you talking
then you
about
gonna give me a fuck. Then you gonna give me a. You know what I'm saying? Dog, if my car not there, don't fucking clean my. You're not even cleaning it. This nigga come down here with a street sweeper that don't even got no water or nothing down there. I gotta move my car for 2 hours. I was in there recording the other day. I said, yo, look, I can hear him right now. The street sweeper came down and was gone in 2.5 minutes. But I gotta move my car for 2 hours, and if I don't, I get fined. Not only that, but the street sweeper come out on Thursday. Ask me what day I put my trash out. Why is the street sweeper coming on Thursday? The street sweeper comes out in Thursday afternoon, and we all put our trash out Thursday night, Friday morning. The streets back dirty.
Oh, right. That's what I said Friday. Trash
but they put it out Thursday.
But it's right. That's what I said. Trash get picked up Friday.
So, no doubt. I think that, and not just you, we've heard a lot of complaints around the street cleaning and the street schedule.
We know who asked for that, and it's people who don't come out the house or work. They can clean the street themselves if they want it. No, I'm not gonna say that, but.
I think that's legit. I think that's a little separate though from what I'm doing because the street cleaning and the trash pickup and all that. I'm specifically going after illegal dumping.
I just seen the lane to get my shit off.
I ain't mad at you.
So look, before you go, so you know how they've been remaking all of these '90s songs,
right?
You could do. Was it All for One, I Swear? And they could just say, I care. I care.
He needs percentages from this
the
app.
stars and the moons up above. Like, just have them change those lyrics around. I care. Like, listen.
He want to be on that app committee, dog. Put him down.
But the thing is we really try and change the culture. So it's nuisance behavior in general, right? Like, and the goal is we can't put cameras everywhere, right? Like, but we gotta do things to change the culture in the city because right now we have this perception that the city is lawless. You can go where you want, you can do what you want, nothing's gonna happen to you, and we gotta do things to change that perception.
It is lawless, low key.
I mean, you could say that.
Don't put him on the hot seat.
I know you not saying that it is. Say that.
I gotta say that there's a perception out there that the city is.
I think that the perception is because it's. You know what I'm saying? You know some of the problems that the city got.
I know.
That's aligned with not even like, you know what I'm saying, I guess police, whatever how you want to look at policing, but people do shit and don't get caught, man.
I mean, and this is why I go experience it myself because when you have that perception that's out there, everybody will tell you a different story as to why it is and what they're doing, right? And at the end of the day, if I sit behind a computer all day and just let people tell me stuff, well, you can tell me anything.
Right.
I don't know what's what.
That's a fact.
That's why I step from behind the computer. I want to go to the briefings because I want to hear, but then I want to take what you tell me and see if it applies. That's why I'm showing up to crime scenes and going to gun court and doing what I got and talking to families and victims to see how things pan out after the cameras go away. And the incident happened 2-3 weeks ago.
Right.
Where are we now? So it is a work in progress. But as far as the perception of lawlessness, you're not going to get an argument from me on that. You know what I mean? And I feel the pressure because at the end of the day, y'all know offline we talk about these type of stuff all the time. You know, deep down inside, it ain't much a politician can do about crime. You know what I mean? We legislators and we pass budgets. I care about it. I could make some recommendations. I could, do
some initiatives.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But our things are really prevention, right? Like, we could do better with prevention, but at the end of the day, one of the best hearings that I ever had that we ever did was when we listened to the young people. Y'all know how we do. Mm-hmm. So we brought the young people in the city council and we let them talk about their perception and their perspective of what was going on with the crime in the city. Dude, they tell you straight up, laws ain't gonna change nothing. We don't know who the DA is. We don't. We live an impulsive life.
Right. So
it's in the moment, like it's I could get a gun like I could get a breakfast sandwich. I
Right.
wake up in the morning, sausage, egg, and cheese. Give me a ghost gun to go with it.
Sausage, egg, and
That's
cheese.
that's
Give
what-
me a ghost gun to go with it.
Listen, that's what they say. They ain't even me. That's not even us in our
No,
huddle. That's what
facts.
they saying. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So they thing is like our approach to it is all wrong. You know what I mean? Like we can't strict our way to fixing them. And that's why when people talk about my bill, I laugh because a lot of the people who commit the crimes ain't even old enough to drive.
Right.
So pulling people over, what is that going to do? How you going to pull a person over that walk?
It's
Right.
almost like
I was downtown. Me and Tony went to a little podcast joint at Rec Philly. Shout out to Rec Philly.
Yeah, they do a good job. My man
do.
Demetrius, give him a shout out.
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah,
Shout out
yeah.
Red Philly.
Shout out Meach too. Yeah, I know Demetrius. He good peoples. But so we was at we went down to that joint. I was looking for parking. Boom, boom, boom. I'm trying to find the entrance, and I guess it's the Fashion District, aka used to be the gallery. So it was just all these youngins just acting the fool down there, like play fighting, just it was just wild. Like it was just they running around in the streets, and it was biker cops, like 3 biker cops, kind of just making sure they didn't fuck with regular people. But I was like, yo, can't y'all just tell them to go back to their hoods? And they was like, no, we not allowed to no more. Like we not even really allowed to tell them they gotta go home. So they basically just got watched young boys act the fool, fake argue, fake play, real fight. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, are y'all real fighting? Are these real arguments? Is what is going on out here? Like,
Right.
I just gotta kind of gauge what's going on and make sure nothing happens throughout all of this unsafe fun it looks like y'all having.
I went a little while ago. I had a meeting outside City Hall, and I haven't been downtown late many days this summer because I'm out in the community more. So most of the summer I'm down in Center City in the morning.
Right.
But this Wednesday I just happened to have a later day, and if you don't know, in Center City they got sips on Wednesday. So I really wasn't thinking about that. So I walked from my meeting across Dilworth, and similar scene, right? A lot of young people, rambunctious behavior, substance involved. Everyone's clearly under 18. Right on City Hall apron, the play fighting, the music. At least a dozen of them. At least a dozen. No one's over 18, clearly. So I'm concerned. It bothers me that they're comfortable doing this at 5 o'clock. Where would they be at about 10? Right, like this is the pregame. I know the pregame.
After they get fired up, then
That's
what's
what I'm
next?
saying, right? So this is the pregame, and this is where it's happening. So as I walk closer to my entrance of City Hall, where I need to go, I didn't realize that there was like a SIPS thing happening out there. So I'm looking, and the guy's like, you can't walk this way. I'm Councilman Thomas, bro. You relax. I'm going in. That's a whole nother conversation. The dynamics of seeing all those young people, just 20 feet away, acting a fool. Nobody's saying nothing to them. But we got, all this Dilworth security, police officers, all these people got to be, a dozen people protecting the SIPS area so people could drink safely while these kids is right over there acting a fool. And I said that to him. I said, you worrying about me walking through here. Y'all got all this security over here. While them kids is over there doing drugs and acting a fool, we 100% sure they ain't 18. All type of substance over there, right on City Hall apron. And I think as a society, we giving the wrong message. But more importantly, part of the wrong message that we giving is they don't have nothing to do. Like that's a real thing. I
can agree with that.
Like when we was growing up, like we would go to the gallery, we would hang places. I'm not saying we wouldn't do stuff like that. But I think a big part of it is like this is the generation where like I had a player hit me up today, 1:30. Z, can you call me an Uber? I just woke up. I believe him. They wake up at 2, 3. They eating breakfast at 5. They outside till 5 in the morning, dog. They're outside till 5 in the morning.
That's because this is a thought that I came in, not to
I'm just saying
go
if you
too
had
far.
a job or if you
But
had a game the next day, you're not living that
But look,
type of
but
life.
you gotta think about it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all parents, I'm not a parent, so I feel like I can freely speak. Our generation of parenting and whatever is all the people that was like, I'm not gonna do what my parents did to me. So you got everybody kind of letting their young boys do all of the things that you wanted to do when you was a kid, and that's followed up by not being scared. Like you said, you was with camp, you was at camp this week. You said it's crazy how just disrespectful and just non-listening young boys is. Like it's like nothing really care. Like these young boys is just different. Like they really different.
I ain't disagreeing. I think we saying the same thing, but I mean it's concerning. It's alarming. And then as a city, right, we disinvest in things for them.
For sure.
So it's only making it worse.
That's on y'all though.
Yeah, that's the part that we play. So remember in the beginning I was saying there's only but so much an elected official can do about the crime. That's what we can do. Right? We should have more free programs. We should have so many free programs as empty seats. We should. Any kid, any teenager who want a job, they should be able to get a job. A teenager should be able to walk into high school next week, right? If I'm in high school, I should be able to go see my guidance counselor, my assistant principal, the chair of my 9th grade department or something. They should have a Rolodex of jobs waiting for me.
Facts.
Like, is we in the midst
so that's
of a
not
great
the case.
resignation? Of course not, dog. I told you about my resolution with PYN. I gotta do that. That's a tradition. It's like they pay kids late since we've been serving leader interns. You don't remember we used to have to buy the kids lunch because we all would get our check and we knew their check was going to be late. They had to go the first 4 weeks of freedom schools with no payment.
Right.
It turned into a tradition. Like, so it's one thing when we interns. It's another thing when I'm a councilman and you're going to tell me that it's not your fault. What? So 15 years ago, it wasn't your fault either. We've been making the same mistakes for 15 years.
Facts.
Those are the things that we can do different. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I take pride in, because even when you talk to the young people, they'll tell you we bored. I read a story about 2 kids who was committed a series of carjackings. Right? They was stealing cars all across the city. And the reporter asked him, she said, well, what made y'all get started? Like, how did y'all start stealing cars? We was bored. We needed something to do. It was a thrill. It was a risk. That's a real thing. Like, this is a different type of impulsive generation that, especially a lot of the poor black folks, they feel like they're going to die young anyway.
2 points I wanted to make about everything y'all just said. One is we can't discount the feeling of the security guard, whoever stopped you, and thinking in his mind and hedging the bet in his mind that if I say anything to this brother, nothing's going to happen to me. But if I say something to those 12, there's a great chance that they might all buck on me. And I'm not saying, I don't know, I'm not saying that that's anybody's issue, anything's problem, but I think that's reality. I think
that's a real thing.
That's a real thought.
And you know what, Tone? I say 2 things to that. Number 1, that's a job you signed up for, my G.
That's my, listen.
Number 2, it was at least 8 cops out there.
I feel you.
So it's not like I could feel you if it's just you and your flashlight. But that's not the case. Y'all deep out here.
Right.
Y'all deep, and y'all choosing to surround yourself around these people drinking and spending money, right? So we can collect that revenue, right? And they can have a good time compared to these. Because for me, Tone, my argument would be that subconsciously they don't care about them kids. Not necessarily those security guards.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? But it's a subconscious thing. Like, I feel you on the they gonna run wild on me. Yeah. Right? If this is SEPTA and I'm the only SEPTA cop there, that's one thing. You know what I'm saying? That's drawing. Especially if it's nighttime and all. It's 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Right. That's crazy.
It's 12 of them and 24 y'all. And nobody's saying nothing to them. But you want to stop me. I mean, I don't, I get it, But I even showed you my badge. I know. I'm a councilman.
Right.
I don't care who you are. What?
Right.
You super secure.
That's when I would argue at that moment. It's like before he knew who you was, like he not gonna do nothing. Then when you say I'm the councilman, this motherfucker really not gonna.
Oh, he said I don't care who you are. You can't go through here.
Yeah.
I said so I can't.
Because at that point in his mind, he all threats of violence and everything. When you said I'm the councilman, he said, man, I don't care. That's what really gave him the gall. I don't care.
Cool.
You ain't you ain't got no ghost gun.
Elected officials are not mine. That's cool. My thing is that as a culture and as a society, you gotta at least be able to have the swag to tell them youngest to keep it moving. Yeah, y'all can't do that here.
Yeah,
that's all. Y'all can't do that here. Y'all gotta keep it moving. Please don't make me have to bring the police over.
Yeah, and then the second point that I wanted to make was what P said. Not only is it just a generation of parents saying that we're not going to raise our kids like we were raised. That's part of it too.
I agree with that though, P.
I do too. I do too. But I think that there's also parents in that same generation that if we think about the shit that we got to do for money, the hours we got to log, it's a lot of these motherfuckers still growing up with grandma.
I agree with that, Tom.
And you know, the grandma can't physically, mentally. Grandma and grandpa, you know what I mean? Whoever those real elders of the community are that are really the primary parents or guardians of these kids, they really can't control them.
Hey man, listen. Minimum wage is on the ballot in November. $7 an hour still in Pennsylvania. That's one of the things we vote
nasty.
on.
That's nasty.
That's one of the things we vote on in November. We got one of the lowest minimum wages out of any state. Well, we Commonwealth technically, but out of any state in the entire country, one of the lowest minimum wage. So at the end of the day, they say 25% of the people in the city are poor. A lot of them are either A, kids, or B, got a job. Right. Some of them too.
Right.
Philly is the city of the working poor. I'm not saying we don't have other poor, but we got a large percentage of our city who wake up and work a full-time job and still live in poverty.
Facts. And I'm thinking about more specifically when I think about that.
It's like that.
When I say that and think about that demographic of people, I think about my former field, and that's human services. That's your social workers. That's your home health aides. That's your nurses. That's your these people. If you follow them if you've had friends that when you hear them talk, they're working no less than 12, 14-hour days. A lot of those people have kids and multiple kids. If they're working for 12 and 14-hour days, how many hours are they actually being with their kids? Right. If they're not the ones with their kids, who is with them?
Even professional jobs like a teacher, right?
Right.
Because a lot of teachers have, like, especially teachers, if like you are the primary income in your household, you end up having to work a second job, right? And we don't think about it often, but when I give you examples of a second job, you can be like, yo, that's right. Like, because a lot of teachers tutor, or teach night classes,
right,
or teach sports as extracurricular activities, or teach in the after-school program because they need the extra income outside of their actual salary. We only start teachers off in the city like around $45,000. That's how much a teacher start at. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, when you think about where we are as an economy, that just ain't it.
That ain't it.
Especially if you got kids.
That ain't it.
Right. So
nasty.
Philly is the city of the working poor. And that's a big part of like the poverty problem that we have. A minimum wage, our employers, we got to do better with some of that stuff. And, you know, that's on the ballot in November. That's why I push people to vote every year. Every election is something controversial on it. And, you know, this November is one of the most important elections for especially college-age students. You know what I mean? Because, like, one of the things that we talk about all the time, we talked about the education stuff, schools and things like that. You know, how our schools are funded is pretty bad. Right?
How are they funded?
Well, the state puts in so little money to the school district of Philadelphia that we're in the middle of a lawsuit. The U.S. Constitution say education is the responsibility of the state.
Facts.
Which means states should fund schools, especially public education, more than anybody. The city of Philadelphia puts more money into public schools
than the state of Pennsylvania does,
and we're not supposed to. That's a
an
problem.
issue. That's an issue.
You know what I mean? So like the funding formula for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for public schools relies too much on real estate taxes, and it puts us in a position where, you know, because we have properties and neighborhoods that are poor, you know, we often get less dollars than a Lower Merion. You know,
absolutely. Just hearing you. I mean, it's good to have you here, man. I know we talk, we laugh, we joke a lot. We talk about a lot of nonsensical shit, but this shit is really just good because just hearing you talk, I just hear how every time you get to another marker, it's like another can of worms is open. Like you just said, like the state is supposed to be supplying the money for the city, but if the city has to supply it, then I think about where you go back to where you said earlier, we are the city that kind of divest in the community aspect. We divest in our recreation centers. There is not a baseball, basketball, and football team for youth at every recreation center in the city like it was when we grew up.
It's not, and a lot of programs aren't free anymore too.
Right.
You know, you can play for a John Harnett, a Sunny Hildy.
Thanks.
You could play for West Oak Lane Monarchs or Oak Lane Wildcats. Them prices didn't run you nothing crazy. I don't know what those programs charge now.
That was all AAU shit.
Yeah, but like it's the cost for a lot of that stuff is much higher.
What about the POW? The POW was free.
Well, some POWs closed.
Right.
Some Salvation Armies closed.
Right.
Like so
Some
of those places
a lot.
don't exist. YMCAs. But remember, all of those POWs, Salvation Armies, YMCAs, none of those are city. Those are all nonprofit, private organizations. So we as a city, we don't control it. But now that it's gone, you got to supplement for it, right? So think about Frankfurt, for example. Frankfurt lost the POW, the Salvation Army, and the YMCA, and didn't gain anything. Right. Nothing was put in that neighborhood. There was no significant money to invest into Frankfurt to offset the loss of those type of spaces. And that's just an example in one neighborhood. It happens all across the city.
Yeah.
I mean, as we get closer to wrapping up, we got about 10 minutes here before we wrap this whole thing up. But I was just thinking to myself, man, the POW might be the biggest travesty because not only was it free, not only was it in every neighborhood, but that's also a program that could kind of ease the tensions between police and the community, man. Like we had Officer Steve, a white officer, and we all fuck with Officer Steve because of how real, how down to earth he was. He was always there every day. He was down to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like he did wild shit. Like he could shoot jump shots, shoot threes with his right hand and his left hand, just shit like that. So if it was one, like now where it's like fuck the police as a whole, like at least back then we'd be like, man, fuck the police, but Officer Steve, cool, man, that's my guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like Officer Steve could be kind of like a buffer or a go between.
Even just having his presence there was preemptive. Facts. Like, you know what I'm saying? It made people think twice. Like maybe if you was going to do something, maybe you was like, we're going to not do it at the POW. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it just.
But it's the subconscious too, right? Because, you know, people determine who they are and their feelings about stuff based on lived experiences. Right. So if my only experience with a police officer is something negative, what am I going to think about police? We got a whole generation of young people who grew up getting pulled over by police. Mm-hmm. But like Tone said, we also played that pause. So you got some things happening. So yeah, I got this on the negative side, but I also got this on the positive side. Right. Also experiences. So it's a subconscious thing too. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm only seeing you in negative spaces, what am I going to think about you?
Right, because nowadays it's like fuck the police. Like back then, if I got pulled over, it's like man, fuck him. Like you know what I mean? Like it's more. You know what I mean? It's in the whole. Before we get eating the ease, your last thoughts.
I'm good, man. I love this. I say my last thing. I know you don't like my watchdog bill, Tone. So you know.
It's up for debate. We gotta look at it.
It's more stuff to come.
Listen, I got you on all promo, dog. I care.
Right, I do. Too.
I care, man.
It's even like, but people know that, dog. Like you, one of my best friends in the world. Like we obviously don't see eye to eye because that's how real we are. Like I didn't see.
We don't.
Like I fucked with the driving bill. I just kind of, and I hated to be that guy because we talked about it on here. I just kind of seen where it was gonna go, and it went exactly where I thought it would. Where motherfuckers is just and I know, but I know you, and I know you would say that. Like I'm not saying what I'm saying for him to take it off the fucking table and just say, nah, that's not gonna work. Fuck that. Nah, it's just like, yeah, I can see that, but I also see it from both sides. So that's all it really was. But we gonna see. I always give it a chance. We gonna see how the snitch app work. But especially when you start incentivizing motherfuckers, you gonna have people like Bubbles up there, dog. Bubbles from The Wire. You gonna start creating a lot of them boys, dog. Like
fake
Bubbles
snitching.
Bubbles started tapping his pocket, like, man, who can I snitch on, dog? Like,
hey man, listen. If it do something about the illegal dumping in the city and some of these other nuisance crimes that give the perception that the city is lawless, I'm all for it. I'll close out with this. This is the last one. This one y'all gonna like. So I know y'all had the Danny Rump, folks from the Danny Rump Foundation on the PPP drawing.
Brief, Mike.
Yeah, shout out to both of them. They do good stuff.
My guys.
This summer, August was an idea that was presented around being a Philly legendary basketball month, right? Mm-hmm. So the Rump Classic, a bunch of other events, the Chosen League, my camp. Lou Leonard Camp, Tashid and Sean Colson did something, a bunch of stuff, Ralph Brooks League in South Philly. We want to brand Philly that way. Gotcha. So I know the PPP John was official media partner for some of that stuff. You know, this fall, I'm going to look to introduce a bill that's going to provide some funding for next August.
Nice.
To be able to put some city money behind August being Basketball Month, be able to highlight some of our city media outlets, but then also to get bigger partners so we can make it a legit tourist event. Right? Because think about it. You know how it be. People come from all across the country.
They do.
To Philly for these events in the city.
They do.
And I just want the city itself to embrace and brand the month of August, because we know that like August is the month where pros are off. It's no live period. College students are home. That's the one month where everybody in the city. And at the end of the day, the Eagles is the franchise that everybody love more than any other franchise.
That's a fact.
But Philly is a basketball city.
Yeah.
We love our Eagles. Like everybody loves the Eagles.
That's facts.
But
that's facts.
Philly is a basketball city, and officially announcing on the PPP JAWN that we're going to be advocating for $100,000 in funding to be able to go specifically towards August being Basketball Month. Hopefully helping with some of the big events that we want to do, and then also giving guys who do the smaller camps and the smaller leagues, hopefully giving them an opportunity and hopefully access to some type of funding to be able to offer the programs that they offer for free, right? Like that's the goal. Like if I could get people's budget, if they have, the proper entities, and we could offset the revenue that they would normally charge young people and make these programs free, that's the direction that we want to move in. So that's my final announcement for the night. Please make sure you go vote in November. When some of the stuff we discussed today comes out, I'm going to share it with y'all. I would love for y'all to just discuss it, bring OGEs back. Thanks, Ease, for letting me sing your seat. But once he come back, get his opinion, get y'all opinion. And the one thing I love about the PPP JAWN, not just the host, but, everybody involved, the entire family, y'all going to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. For
sure. We family, but if I ain't got a bunch of yes men around me.
No, not at all.
If somebody don't like it, folks will be quick to say they don't like it, and probably more than likely tell me why they don't like it,
right,
and what I can do to make it better, because it's not coming from a place of malice. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for being allowing me to be on here and allowing me to communicate the political message, because at the end of the day, everybody not really trying to hear about voting, but whether you vote or not, that's an action. Your inaction, your choice not to vote is an action too. And that's something that, a lot of folks are counting on, especially this November. But y'all better vote. I need y'all this November. I need y'all next May.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Man. Your boy's on the ballot.
Right.
Y'all better vote, man. Make sure you go vote.
On the ballot.
Yo, we don't even have to get into the E with Ease. That's on the crazy pause anyway, man. We can wrap this shit up.
It's just the new Daddy Yankee doing wild shit, poking holes in the fucking hot dog to drink beer.
You ain't even gotta say it though.
I'm going to say it. Don't cut me off, nigga. That's what I'm doing.
I guess
get right through it, man.
I guess so.
It was just a new Daddy Yankee poking a hole in the straw to drink out of a beer. The obituaries, though, I wanted to say fucking rest in peace to Coach Eric Hickman. That's a crazy story, man. Youth sports, violence got to stop there, dog. It's about the kids. It's about the youth. And the craziest part about that story is motherfucking Aqib Talib and his brother are the fucking suspects. His brother is actually the one that pulled the trigger, but Aqib Talib can be seen on the video throwing punches and shit. But yeah, man, you already know. Other than that, if you get a fucking seafood bag from anywhere, boil the ramen, throw out the sauce packet, dump the ramen in the bag, shake it up, because I know you're trying to figure out what to do with all that fucking extra sauce. But other than that, like my brother P said, man, we done had a good episode. We had a good political episode. The good brother, Councilman Thomas, came here to drop some jewels, drop some gems on us, to do everything that needed to be done. I'm good, man. Subscribe. Stop fucking ghost. We talked about ghost guns. Stop ghost watching. All right? Subscribe. We fuck with y'all. Y'all fuck with us. P, any last thoughts, man?
Nah, man, we the fuck out of here.
Peace.